overcome it. You have a very obvious and very clear challenge to overcome, and you get to do it. So I was very indecisive between whether to do philosophy or doing literature or doing architecture. Those were my three options when I decided what to do at uni. And between philosophy and architecture, if I'm being brutally honest, I just flipped a coin, and and I ended up getting philosophy, and I was very happy. Like as soon as I started university, I thought, oh, this is great. I love this. And so doing the PhD in that was a kind of natural continuation because there are not many obvious professions that one can do when you've got a bachelor in philosophy that are contiguous to what you studied, right? Either you end up doing something completely different and you say, well, I had a nice time at university, I made some friends, I learned some stuff, but now let me work in a bank or whatever. But if you want to do something that has to do with philosophy, pretty much the only option is to try to go for an academic career. And so the PhD was the natural next step. You get a sense of what it means to actually know something and to sort of have some expertise in a field that I didn't necessarily have before. And I came to appreciate that because very often you encounter people who are self-avowedly sort of expert at things, and then you realize, well, are you really though? You don't really know what you're talking about because I realize that I know very little of what I'm talking about the thing that I spent 4 years working really hard to try to understand, and still then I feel very inadequate. So I think it's quite common for people to sort of find out that the job market is extremely competitive and that you need to publish a lot, etc., and completely freak out about it, maybe in the second year of PhD, etc. At the beginning you just say, oh, I'm here, I'm just basically doing nothing. And then it sort
Mhm.
of hits you like a truck, right? Oh my God, I'm screwed, I need to publish so much. Both my supervisors were really nice about it. Don't freak out too much. It's fine. These are reasonable expectations. You don't need to push yourself too much. I had gotten very close to getting a job in, say, early September at the end of my third year, and so I had to spend the whole summer really rushing to try to get thesis finished and to write up. And in the end, I didn't get the job, and I discovered that in September or whatnot. And at that point, the thesis was basically done because I had to rush for it. And so I had the luxury of taking about 4 months. And so from September to January, I could sort of do the last edits with less of a crazy rush. And I think
Mhm.
that helped me sort of to have an overall more chill approach to the end of the PhD, which for many people is a very taxing, super stressful, and
Yeah.
horrendous time. It's definitely stressful in that you have to do two things at once, right? You have to wrap up your thesis, and you also have to come up with a new project if you're trying to go for
Mhm.
project-based postdocs or in general applying for jobs,
Mhm.
and that is a
Mhm.
lot of work. But honestly, I find that less stressful than having to have the big mystery of what comes next looming. So I was much more stressed by the idea of now I submit the PhD and I have to ask myself the question, now what? And sort of having to jump into the unknown. So for me, in a way, it was somewhat therapeutic to start dipping my toes in the job market already as I was maybe starting or midway through my third year. So I would always suggest students to start applying when they still have a bit of time to fail safely, as it were. I mean, part of the fun is really overcoming. You have a very obvious and very clear challenge to overcome, and you get to do it. So I think the main thing is that it were there were 3/4 very lovely years for me personally.